Well guys, this is where we're at right now with the necklace. So you can see I've done felt work, like dry felting to get the initial shape, and then I've gone over that with, they call it stump work, which is like a three-dimensional type of embroidery stitch. You're building it up and stuff with like a more thick woolen thread and then stitching over the top. And of course I had some, shape from the wool underneath as well, which helped pad it out. And I think it's come out pretty good. I'm going to probably put some more stitching in here, just to cover the wool. I don't mind the look of the wool, to be honest, but I don't know. I guess I'll just keep it looking more finely stitched, because I guess the wool's a bit fuzzier and stuff. And I think that's technically how people do it. I don't think they usually let the wool show. But, you do what works for the piece, I guess. So, and I think it could use a bit more darkness around the eye. It's a lot larger than I had initially thought this would be when I designed this piece, because I was thinking this would be more of a regular pendant size, maybe slightly larger. But as I started to draw it, I realised to get the real shape of the scepter, I needed to go larger. So I just went with it, and I really love how it looks so far. I'm just not sure at this point how it's going to work in with the rest of the necklace. Right now it's enormous, so it's going to look pretty crazy. Let me grab I've just started putting paper around the neck cuff to try and work out some pattern pieces to do the collar, because I'm going to do like a Skeksis collar, I'm hoping. But let me just try and show a little bit. So basically the idea is the collar will come off this blank, and then this will be at the center of this collar at the front, sort of a pendant, but I'm going to probably use it as a way to latch the necklace or collar together as well. Possibly a hook and eye situation or something like that, I'm not sure yet. But if you have a look at my original design, pardon my scratchy throat, I've had a bit of a cold lately. Yeah, so like looking at the size difference here, this is probably like a third the size maybe, or like half at least of what I've actually made. So it does make me second guess the overall design, whether I need something down the bottom to kind of help it taper off. I have thought about putting some like jewels and stuff maybe down here or on the sides or something like that, just to, I don't know, help the design. But I am still thinking I want to do the trial by stone here. So perhaps I could do that and some jewels on either side. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure at this point. I absolutely love the way that the fabric paint has worked over the top of this wool, and it's really making me want to go and get more colours of this fabric paint. And I don't have it in arm's reach. Let me grab it and show you. Yeah, so these are the colours that I got. I got these from the, which one was it? The Stitches and Craft show, or whatever they call it, which I did film, and it's on my channel there somewhere, and if I remember I'll link that video. And I believe these were about $10 each, and totally worth it. They're really great. Opaque paint for material, and then you heat set it, so 5 minutes or so with a iron, which I did, and it seems pretty solid. There's been no issues. I was a little bit concerned because it's you know, dry felting, and I didn't know how well that would dye, whether maybe the fibres would possibly pry apart and show the colour underneath, and look a bit weird. And look, you can see, I guess, tiny bit kind of maybe peeking through, but not really. And I mean, the thing is, like, maybe on the sides just slightly, I guess, but it's a similar colour, like it's that, well, it's a mustardy yellow, which suits these tones. And I think that's the key, is like, if you're doing this, maybe try and pick a colour of wool that's really similar. But I'll definitely use this technique again. I'm really enjoying doing this stump work type stitching, and you know, you can do so much with it, because you can see, like, I've created this entire shape out of the wool, so it's just super versatile. So I'm loving that. I really love these. I'd love to get some more colors. I've got more of a pale silver and a purple as well, and I'd love to get like some other metallic colors, metallic red perhaps, maybe a bright gold, yeah, maybe some other colors as well, because they work so well, and I think I would definitely use these again and use them on other things as well, like lace work and stuff like that. So I'm at this point anyway, and I figured I'd put the jewels on. Now I'm also hoping to do some, I think it's still a stump work technique, where I've seen like three-dimensional shapes being stitched onto, I think it's like a cotton material, and you use wire that you stitch into it, and you do your embroidery stitches and so forth, and you basically cover up all of the fabric underneath, trim out your shape, and then you can incorporate it into your design. So the reason I want to do that is, let me get the picture. This is a better example. Let me zoom in a little bit actually. Alright, hopefully you can see that okay, but there's these sort of, I guess they're feathers, or, I mean, they almost look like leaves, but it's a bird, so I take it they're a strange sort of feather coming off its, like under its beak, and every design I see of this symbol, it has those feathers. So I want to make those, and I thought, oh, I could stitch them straight onto it more flat, but I like the idea of maybe making them free form from the actual piece, and potentially putting a couple of stitches in so that it's secured, but still being a separate three-dimensional piece, and then connecting it, you know, at the end of its little feather prong or whatever you call it. So I'm going to give that a go. I think I just need to see if I've got some material I can use for the base to create those shapes, because I don't have a lot of fabric on hand. I did get some fabric for the for a costume I'm going to be making. Just not sure if I can use, if I've got any sort of spare that I can use, but that would probably work because it's like similar to a black cotton. I can't remember if it is actually cotton. I'm still new to all this fabric stuff, and I bought a whole lot of things from Spotlight, and I honestly can't remember if it was like a cotton or a rayon or something like that, but it feels like cotton, and it feels like it's got the sort of weave that I'd need to do this sort of work. And I will film doing it if I do that. The other thing is, I don't have any silver thread for this part. So if you see this, this is like the idea of this symbol is that it's a bird swallowing the world, and I take it it's sort of symbolic of the Skeksis taking over the world, and the world is this little shape here that's, you know, gone into a little point. So it's shown in a different colour to the bird. Often it looks like a steel grey, or here it actually looks a bit more like blues and things like that. I'm going to go with the silver sort of colorings, but I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet. Whether I might actually do it with beadwork. I did toss up going and getting the threads, like buying the threads first and doing it that way, but I don't know. I think I'm just going to forge ahead with what I have and see what happens. I think beadwork will look nice anyway, as a nice contrast, and I actually wasn't sure how much beadwork I was going to do on this. I thought originally that the wool would be more of a base and I would bead the whole thing, but I actually really like the texture that this has and the smoothness that it has, because to me it looks like it's been formed out of bronze, and I don't sort of want to disrupt that look. I don't mind here because it's, you know, needs to look like it's got feathers and the beak and the details, but yeah, I think I'm going to leave this, but I am going to put the jewels on, which we'll do now, and I will do like a bezel around those, so that will be beaded. And then from there, I'm not sure how we're going to proceed. We shall see. We shall see. Now, I'm not going to glue my Skeksi face in yet. I'm just being careful because I don't want it to get damaged. So because of the amount of beadwork that needs to happen on the scepter symbol part here, I'm not gluing this on at that point because I need to sort of pick it up and maneuver it and that sort of thing. So it could get damaged. So I'm just going to put it on when I need to start moving into the center for the beadwork, and then I'll have to glue it in. But at this point, with work still to happen around here, I'm going to leave it off, but every so often I'm having a look to see what it looks like in the middle there. Now it's time to bead around these cabochons that I've added. You guys have seen me do this before. I do have a video that goes into a bit more detail if you do want to know how to bezel around a cabochon. It's basically doing a back stitch for the first layer, and you do that. I like an even count. I find it's just a lot easier because the stepping up for the peyote stitch is a bit easier, and then also if you want to use a contrasting colour or do sort of a pattern, it can be easier to do that as well. You can do odd count, but just bear in mind that the step up is a little trickier. And then I just do a few rows of peyote. I try and make sure that the stitch work is really hugging the cabochons, and generally we'll finish off with like Charlotte beads, the real small ones. The Czechoslovakian ones are quite good size because that then hugs into the cabochon a bit more. So that's it for this one now, guys. I'll have another video soon with some more progress. I hope you're enjoying seeing how this is coming along. And yeah, we'll see you next time in Faewood. Bye, guys.